Hello guys, today we're going to be doing a video on how to do water changes, etc. How to treat your tap water if you have a new shrimp tank. We're going to use this tank as an example. Right, so we have a bucket here. You have tap water, this is what you're going to do. Put it to your cold water setting because cold water hasn't been sitting in your pipes. Hot water has. Hot water is constantly in contact with copper. So we want to avoid that because shrimp are highly susceptible to toxic poisoning from copper. And so put it onto your cold setting like this. Fill up your bucket. Okay, and while that is filling up, I'm going to introduce you to a few items here that you will need. Some people will say these are not necessary for a beginner, but I think they are. And I'm going to start with what you see in front of you here. This is a buffer that you will need to use to buffer your tap water if your tap water isn't high enough in its TDS value, okay? TDS is a measurement of the total dissolved solids in your water, which is very important to shrimp. So therefore we need a way to measure that, and by that I mean something like this. This is a TDS pen. We will also need a dechlorinator because tap water can sometimes contain chlorine and fluoride, etc., and heavy metals, so you will need something like this. This is called Prime, and it is probably the best dechlorinator on the market. For the amount of water that we have, right, we only need to put in 1 or 2 mil in like this, and that is it, okay? And then what you want to do is we'll put this to the side just now so we can prepare our buffer solution that's to go into that water. You're going to need a bottle like this. You're going to need your buffer solution, and mine has always been solid B shrimp, the choice. You take your little spoon and you're going to use 1 cartful of salted beef shrimp like this. Try not to spill it, and then we're going to fill it up with cold water from your tap, okay? And this is going to be the buffer. This is what's going to allow you to adjust your water parameters so it's safe for your shrimp. Okay, are you following? Does it make sense? Where's my lid? There's the lid. Now you put the lid back on. You want to give this a shake. I have to put it between my legs. Oh Jesus, that water's cold. I've got shorts on. Okay, so you give your bottle a shake like this. And don't worry if there's a few granules in the bottom, because some of it doesn't dissolve. Just keep on giving it a shake until you think it's good enough. Right, because we're going to do a live water change as well, I'm going to have to use a bucket of water that is already warmed up. So I have one just here. This one has been sitting for 24 hours. It was here yesterday. So let's have a little check on the temperature on this thing. TDS is 161 from the tap, which is okay. Temperature is 23.6, so you can see the difference in temperature just because it's been sat in this warm room overnight. Let's check the temperature of the water that came out of the tap. This will probably drop like a bomb, I'd imagine. 15.6, 14.2, so you can see the massive difference here. If you put this water into your tank, you'll kill your shrimp, okay? So it's important that you let it sit to degas and for it to heat up to room temperature. That's going back up again nicely. Okay, so the TDS in here, I don't think it was quite high enough, was it? It was 160. Our target TDS for this tank is to 100 because it's going to be a Neocaridina tank. Alright, so what we're going to do here is, remember this buffer solution that we just made, we're going to add it in increments into the, oh god, I put the lid on so tight. We're going to add it in increments to this bucket in small amounts at a time, okay? Because once you put too much in, you can't really take it back out, so just take your time doing this step. And then you're going to give it a good stir. Now this stuff is pretty concentrated, so don't worry about the temperature difference between that water and this one. Ideally you can also have this already made up. is sat for 24 hours. Okay? So give it a good stir. And then measure your TDS again. This is 174, so that wasn't really anywhere near enough, so we have to put more in. Give it a good stir again. And so this, guys, is how I would do it if I didn't have RO water. This is perfectly fine for Neocaridina. If your TDS is quite low coming at the top as well, you can do this, and you probably have, you probably use it for crystals as well, things like Taiwan bees. I don't want to spill too much of the water there, because obviously I wouldn't be doing this with one hand. So it's about 10 parts per million, still too low, so we're going to add a little bit more. And give it a little bit of stir again. And just take your time doing this, guys. There's no rush. The better you do it, the more chances you will have of your shrimp surviving, etc. So this is only 5 parts per million now. I normally do it to 5 parts per million, but just because we're doing it on video, I'm going to add a tiny little bit more. And you get the idea. This is how you make up your water for your species of shrimp, okay? That's probably enough, I think. Measure your TDS again. Now it is 200. Now we said we wanted it to be 200. Now this water is perfect for that tank. Just want to check the temperature again. I think it was 23 point something. Because we'll check this and then we'll cross-reference it with the tank. 23.2. What was the tank? 23.2, 23.3. So the tank is almost an identical temperature to the water that we've just made, which is absolutely fantastic. When you do this, guys, you can heat the water up a little bit with, if you put some water in a microwavable jug, you can heat up water that way. If your temperature, if there is a big difference, that is, okay? So our water is now the same parameter as the tank. It is also within 0.2 of the same temperature of the tank. All that's left to do now is to actually drain the water out of here and then fill it back up again. So I'm going to do that right now. One momentum. Alright, so I have my bucket here that is incremented in litres. You can see up the side here. I need to take out between 8 and 10 litres in this tank, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my siphon here. I'm going to put you down to the side so you can kind of see the bucket and the tank at the same time. And then we're going to siphon the water out of this tank. Pour the water straight in the tank, and I'm going to use my hand as like a baffle to stop it stirring up all the substrate, okay? And the reason I can pour it straight in, guys, is because I've made my water to the exact parameters of the tank, so there's no TDS shock, there's no pH shock, there's no temperature difference at all, so it's quite safe to do it this way, okay? Alright, so we have our bucket of water here. I like to put mine on the rim like this. With one hand, hold the bottom, and then put your other hand actually in the tank and pour the water onto your hand, okay? Like this, and just take your time, you're in no rush. And fill it up basically. If you do it this way, guys, you will save yourself a lot of hassle. You will save yourself from wondering what parameters your water is all the time. You will save yourself a ton of deaths. Your shrimp will breed. This is the way you do a proper water change in a tank. There are different ways to put water back in. but the principles are the same. Okay, with a TDS meter and some buffer, you can do shrimp keeping the proper way without guessing whenever your shrimp are going to survive, or if they're going to be happy, or if they're going to breed. So that is how you do a water change in a shrimp tank. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'll catch you all in the next one. Happy shrimp keeping, guys.